Lee, along with Albert Lee fourth graders and Martin County West fourth graders. Thank you guys. Ortonville, Michigan, welcome. Plainview third graders, hello, good morning to you. Massachusetts, Brockton High School, thank you, thank you. Okay, it looks like we are live both on YouTube and Zoom. Welcome everybody, we are excited to have you for our November virtual field trip. We are going to go live to the Oakdale Turkey Farm in central Minnesota here in just a minute. A few reminders before we get started. First of all, if you are viewing on Zoom, you can ask questions in the comment section. We're probably not going to have a chance to ask all of them, but put them in there and we'll see what we can do. Also, if you are viewing in Zoom, please use the Q&A feature to ask questions. We will definitely ask some of those to our farmers. Like I said, we're not going to be able to do all of them, but we'll do as many as we can. We have had a little bit of struggles with our connectivity or our Wi-Fi signal this morning. So if you lose myself, if I cut out, or if our turkey farmers cut out, stick with us. We'll do our best to get them back in action. So I think we are going to get started, or we're ready to get started. A couple other shout outs. We have fourth graders from Dover Yoda. Albert Lee has some learners tuning in. Ashby High School, the Sustainable Agriculture class, welcome to you. So continue to add your school's name and location in either the Q&A or the comment section, and we'll try to do some shout outs throughout. But let's go to our turkey farm. I am excited to introduce you to Dana Nelson, who is the 5th generation turkey farmer on Oakdale Farm, and his daughter, Erica Sawatzke, who is the 6th generation turkey farmer at Oakdale. So I think let's go to them. And if you guys could start out by telling us a little bit about your farm, that would be fantastic.
You want to start? Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Sounds like we've got a wide range of people watching from the state and other states, which is super cool. This is my dad, Dana. My name is Erica. My dad is the 5th generation turkey farmer here on our farm, and I'm the 6th generation. We farm together. My grandpa, my dad's dad, is 89 years old, and he still helps out. You won't see him in the video today, but he helps out a lot on our farm still, and we feel very blessed that he's able to be with us and help us. My husband is a high school agriculture teacher, and he helps out on the farm a lot too. We have a daughter. She's 16 months old. You'll see a video of her now. She is the 7th generation on our farm, and she's not necessarily really good help yet, but she's definitely entertaining to have in the barn. She keeps us on our toes, and she definitely loves turkeys, I think, more than my dad and I do. Our farm, we have a really rich history here. My dad can probably talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to pass the headset over to him so he can tell you just a little bit of our history, because we've been around a really long time.
Yeah, so this farm was actually started in 1866 when my great-great-grandfather homesteaded here. He came from Wisconsin. Originally, he was from Norway. And when he first started, there was 160 acres. And from there, we've expanded, and mainly turkeys is what we've always had. And when I first started farming in 1978, we had both market turkeys and breeder turkeys. And so the breeder turkeys is turkeys that produce eggs, and we sell the eggs to a hatchery. But within just the last year, we've changed from breeder turkeys to market turkeys. And we were just breeder turkeys from in the 90s until, like I said, just a year ago.
So we have our first question, Dana or Erica, maybe one of you want to answer this. How many barns do you currently have with turkeys in them?
Good question. So right now, and you guys will get to see a couple of our barns today, but we have 5 barns, and the one we have baby turkeys. That we call that our brood barn. Baby turkeys are called poults. So we get turkeys or baby turkeys in that barn, and then we'll move into 4 other different barns.
So Erica, you mentioned the brood barn. I know that you guys are not in a brood barn right now, but we have some video that you captured. So let's show that, and you can tell us a little bit about these poults in the brood barn.
Yeah. So these poults that you're looking at today, they are 8 days old. We get them on our farm when they're 1 day old. They come from a hatchery. So my dad mentioned that we used to have eggs on our farm. We used to have female turkeys called hens that would lay eggs. So those eggs, farmers sell those eggs to a hatchery, and they get hatched out in the hatchery. And then they get sent to farms like ours now, like what you're seeing in this video. So they come to our farm when they're 1 day old, and they stay in that barn for 4 weeks. That's 1 month until we move them into another barn. And the reason that we move those is because as they grow and they get bigger, they need more space. You can see a lot of different like feeders. So if you look in there, there's a green bucket, there's green feeders, there's a water jug. So the first like week and a half of their life, they have a lot of feeders and a lot of waters that we set up in the barn. And that's to ensure that they find food and water. It's really important for those baby turkeys, those poults, to get a really good start in life. They're just like a human baby. So if any of you have baby sisters or brothers, they require a lot of care. You can also probably see there's cardboard rings that we keep them in, and that cardboard ring, it just keeps them in a smaller area so that it makes it a little bit easier for those poults to find food, water, and a heat source. So that barn, you can't tell in the video, but that barn right now is about 90 degrees. So when we're working in there, it's kind of like being on a beach vacation. That's how hot it is. It's warm. So on a day like today, when it's really cold out, it feels pretty good.
So Erica, I have a couple questions about the brood barn or the poults. First of all, how many poults do you get at a time? So how many are in that barn? And then what do you feed them? What kind of food do they like?
Sure. So right now in that, the flock that we have in that barn, there's 17,000. And their food, it's mostly corn and soybean meal. And then there's other vitamins and minerals that they have in that feed. And so one of the other things about our farm is we also raise corn and soybeans. We don't feed our own corn and soybeans to our turkeys. We buy it from a separate feed mill. But one of the reasons why Minnesota has so many turkeys is because there's a lot of farmers that grow corn and soybeans. So for us as a turkey farm, we have really good access to buy feed for our turkeys.
So that's another question about the food. Chelsea wants to know, how much does the food cost? And we also had a question is, how often do you feed them?
Good question. I think my dad wants me to answer this one, but so turkey feed is about 2/3 of the cost that a farmer has to raise turkeys. Feed is pretty expensive. That's one of our biggest expenses in raising turkeys. the second part of that question, so the poults that you saw in the video, the first about week and a half of their life, we hand feed a lot of those extra feeders. And so that we do that every morning. They also have automatic feeders in their barn. And so those are automatic. So we don't have to hand feed that. They have feed every day that will come in. We do check those to make sure that they work every day, because sometimes they break down. So good question. Those baby turkeys require a lot of care. So my morning, the first about 2 weeks of their life, I'm in that brood barn for a few hours.
So Erica, I just want to give a couple more shout outs. We have students from Bird Island joining us. Mrs. Hain, I think that's how you say your name, in Dassel Cokato, her special ed class. And we also have first graders from Belgrade, Bruton, El Rosa. They're in Bruton. They would like to know how many turkeys total you have on your farm.
Good question. And Sue, I think that I saw a comment, something about feedback.
Yeah, it says maybe turn the volume down on the phone or hold it a little farther away. They're getting a little feedback when you're speaking.
Hold your phone over on that side. Okay, is that maybe a little better?
It sounds good to me. But if someone wants to comment, let us know what it's sounding like to you.
Okay, so Sue, what was your question? You had a question.
Yeah, so the first graders from Bruton want to know how many turkeys total do you have on your farm?
How many turkeys do we have on our farm? 30, like 32-ish thousand. Maybe. Yeah, so it varies a little bit depending on where the turkeys are at, how old they are. But at any given time, we have about 33,000 on our farm.
Awesome. That is a lot of turkeys, you guys. Good work. So I'm going to ask one more question about the poults, then let's talk about the birds, the turkeys in front of you. So this is a question from YouTube. When the turkeys are poults, do you use vitamins or antibiotics in the water to help build up their immune system?
Good question. Do you want to talk about this one? Okay. So we don't give our turkeys antibiotics. The only time that we would give our turkeys antibiotics is if they're really sick and our veterinarian is recommending that. So if we have sick turkeys, I call my veterinarian and she'll come out and look at them. And if they need antibiotics, then we'll give them, but that's only under the direction of our veterinarian. And so remember, it's only if they're really sick. We don't put that in their feed or we don't just put it in their feed. The other question about electrolytes, that's a really good question too. When those poults come to our farm, sometimes those poults, they do need some electrolytes. And so we do give some of that to our baby turkeys when they're the first couple of days of their life. Sometimes they need that extra care, and us as a farmer, we believe that they deserve that. So we do give the electrolytes if they need it.
All right, thanks, Erica, and Dana too. We can't hear you, but we know you're adding good information. And the comment is that they can hear you perfect now. So hopefully we're loud and clear. So You mentioned when we were looking at the poults that they, they arrive when they're 1 day old and they stay in that brood barn for 4 weeks. Then after 4 weeks, they come into the barn that you guys are in now. So could you tell us about that barn?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this barn? I can. We're just introducing.
Okay, so this barn right now has about 9,000 turkeys in it. They're about 8 weeks of age. I don't know what else they were wondering about.
Yeah, Dana, could you tell us how large the barn is and what the temperature is? And then we can see there's some I think there are feeders and waters in the back. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about those also.
Yeah, okay. So This barn has, I think, 15 or 16,000 square feet, and there's all the waters and feeders are automatic. So if you're looking, you can see the metal pans right, the closest to us. Those are the feeders, and there's feed in every feed, and they're automatically filled. So there's always feed available if they're hungry. The same with the water. That's the next line there, and they'll get whatever they want whenever they want it. So.
And how big, like how large, could you compare the barn? What would it be, the size of like a football field, or what would it be similar to that we might know?
Boy, I guess I don't know the square footage of a football field, but I would say we're 2 or 3 times the size of a football field.
Okay, so really big, really big. So there's some questions about these turkeys. Can you give us just some general information about the turkeys, how large they are, what they're raised for, what breed or kind they are?
Yeah, so pretty much all commercially nowadays, everything is white. And I think that evolved quite a few years ago, mostly because people don't like to see black pin feathers on a turkey they're going to eat. And because that's what originally all turkeys were. They had more of a darker color feather. And so with the white, people don't see that. Otherwise, there isn't any purpose in the white. And all the turkeys that are raised nowadays they're every year they change the genetics, trying to make them bigger and to grow faster. So yeah, that's basically what that is.
So how much do the turkeys you have in there, how much do they weigh?
Okay, I think last week they were about 6. Yeah, last week they were about 6 pounds. When they will be sold when they're probably about 12 weeks of age, and then they will be 14 to 15 pounds usually, somewhere in that area. So these are all hens, and so they will be sold just mostly for as a whole bird that somebody can put on their Thanksgiving table.
So that was a question that was asked. Is there particular grocery stores or places where we could buy your turkeys, or do they just send all over?
Yeah, I don't, Erica might know better than I do on some of those, but these are all of our turkeys are sold through Ferndale Market out of Cannon Falls. But they do sell them other places, and I'm not sure exactly where they do that, but they're all antibiotic free, unless, like Erica said, very last minute, a veterinarian says we need to do something. So they're sold to a specialty market for most people.
Okay, thanks, Dana. Yeah. We have a few questions about the turkeys. So maybe both of you have thoughts about this, but Hannah in Plymouth is wondering if the turkeys each have different personalities. And Savannah, who I think is a second grader at Martin County West, wants to know if they peck at you a lot and if that hurts, and why they might do that.
Yeah, so the first part of the question, personality-wise, I suppose they probably do. They're just like any other animal. They probably have. It's not something that we pay a lot of attention to. When we had breeders, there were certainly a lot of turkeys that were more aggressive, that would, come up to you and want to interact more so than others. So, and as far as pecking, at 6 pounds, they really can't do much to you, and they don't have any teeth. They don't have anything that can hurt you, and so a light peck is really not something that's more than just a little bit of an annoyance. Yeah.
So we have a few questions about your farm. How many people work on the farm, and are there different jobs that each person has, or do you all get to do everything?
Yeah, we pretty much all do everything. And when we had breeders, that involved a lot of help. We usually at that point had on this farm between 10 and 15 people working. either full-time or part-time. But now with just turkeys that are sold to the market, we don't have near as many. It's just Erica and I, and like she mentioned, her husband Eric, and once in a while. And then we have one full-time employee, and also my dad helps us, like she also mentioned. Yeah.
Great. So there's a couple questions too. I know, Erica, you talked about, if you want to switch back, we'll give you a minute.
Yeah, we'll switch.
Okay.
So I turned the volume down on that, so you might not be able to hear. Okay, I'm back.
Thanks, Erica. So we have a couple questions you mentioned before about sometimes turkeys do get sick and you have to, help them get better. So there's a question, how do you know if a turkey is sick? And then I think it's Ari wants to know, if it is sick, how do you give it medication?
Those are really good questions. So one thing that I haven't really talked about yet is, every day, like our daily chores. So I did talk about that in our brood barn with the baby turkeys, but in this barn, we're in this barn every day, and we're making sure that the feed, that the automatic feeders are working, and that the automatic drinkers are working also. But one of the other things that we do just while being in the barn here is, we're walking through the barn. And so Raina, can you point down just a little bit with the camera so you can see we've got turkeys around our legs. They're kind of, pecking at us. Turkeys are very curious in nature. If they didn't feel well, they would be just kind of, laying down and not as active. When we as people don't feel well, you don't have a lot of motivation. You just kind of feel blah. And so it really is the same with turkeys. They're not going to be eating. They're not going to be drinking. So we can see that, that they're not eating as much feed. They just look sick. They don't have a lot of activity. And because we're in our barns every day, for sure twice a day, it's very easy for us to pick up on that.
We seem to be having just a touch of technical difficulty, Sue. They're frozen on my screen. I'm going to send them a quick text and see if we can get them to come back in.
Second part of that question.
Like yep, here they are.
Erica, we lost you for a minute. Okay.
So we'll work to get them back. I hope that they will regain some connectivity there. But while we're waiting, I want to just shout out to those of you who are teachers or educators. We do have Ag Mag magazines, and we have Ag Mag. This is for second grade. We also have Ag Mag K for kindergarten, Ag Mag 1 for first grade, Ag Mag 2 for second grade, and then we have Ag Mag 3 and 4 for third and fourth grade, and then also an Ag Mag series for fifth and sixth graders. This spring, our Ag Mag 3 is going to focus on turkeys. We call it Tracking a Turkey from Farm to Table. So if you are interested in these ag mags, you can go to mnagmag.org and subscribe for the hard copies. And also the digital, the content is available digitally on that website, mnagmag.org. So those are a free resource. But it sounds like, Erica, are you back? Can you hear me?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay.
Oh, we can see you, but you're sideways. Raina's our camera person, and she is doing a great job. So we might just need to flip you around, but that's okay. We can hear you really well. So I think you were talking about, you talked about identifying if turkeys are not feeling well, which that makes a lot of sense. How about if you do need to give them medicine, how does that work?
So pause for just a minute. Tell Raina just to take the camera out of the video stabilizer so she can hold it the right way.
So on my phone, it is like it's normal on my phone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yep, we can hear you, Erica.
Okay.
Huh.
Is it better now? Because on our phone, it's the screen is normal.
Okay.
If we turn it like that, is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
Did that
Yep,
fix
that's
it?
good.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you everyone
Okay.
for bearing with us
We'll
in
just hold it
technical.
like that.
Yep. Go ahead, Erica.
So if we need to give medications to any of our turkeys, again, that's under the instruction and direction of our veterinarian. Just like when you kids are sick, you go to the doctor, and if you need medicine, that's your doctor tells you and gives you a prescription, and it's the same for us as farmers. And so that will give in the water. So we give that in the water to the turkeys, and so just like when you're in school, in your classroom, if one person is sick in your classroom, most likely somebody else in your classroom is going to get sick too, just with interacting with each other. And it's the same thing with turkeys. They eat out of the same feeders, they drink out of the same water. So most likely if you have one turkey that's sick, there's going to be a few other ones that will be sick. And so more than one is going to need medicine, so we put it in their water.
Yeah, that seems like an easy way to get them to take the medicine. Thank you, Erica. So this is a question from the Ashby High School students. They want to know, Erica, what was your schooling and career track that brought you where you are today?
How much time do we have?
Well, not a lot. So give us the shortened version.
Shortened version. I went to NDSU up in Fargo, and I got a degree in animal science. That's not what I started with. I wanted to go to school to be a large animal veterinarian, and I started with a degree in microbiology. Organic chemistry was really, really hard, and I didn't think that I wanted to go to school for another 8 years. And I always really liked the turkey industry. So I switched my major, and I started to look at options of how can I be involved in the turkey industry, because at that time I wasn't sure if I wanted to come home and farm. So I got a job with the Minnesota Turkey Growers Association, and I was there for 3.5 years. And probably in the first year of working there and representing the turkey industry, I knew that if I could go home and farm, that would be just an amazing opportunity to carry on my family's farm and tradition. And so I got that opportunity almost 4 years ago to come home and farm. Good question.
Thanks, Erica. That's a great, thank you for providing that information. So I have one more question. Well, actually a couple more questions, but this one is from YouTube. Is turkey farming seasonal? Like, are you more busy now than you are, let's say, in the summer?
Good question. So there are some turkey farmers in the state of Minnesota that are seasonal, but there's a lot of farms just like my family's farm. We raise turkeys year round, and we have the ability to do that because we raise our turkeys inside. Turkeys don't do well with cold weather, especially the baby turkeys. The temperature in that barn today is 90 degrees. So my family and I, we have turkeys every day of the year, so we don't really get a day off. Thanksgiving and Christmas, we'll be in the barns here doing chores in the morning.
So it sounds like turkey farming is a lot of work, but you clearly enjoy it. So this is my question both for you, Erica, and for Dana. What is your favorite part about being a turkey farmer?
So I'll go first, and then I'll hand the headset over to my dad. My favorite part about being a turkey farmer is being able to work with my family. I get to work with my dad and my grandpa every day. And I get to have my daughter involved. She gets to learn what hard work is and respect for farming and respect for livestock. And I like the flexibility. I'm my own boss. So that's what I like about farming. I'll hand the headset over to my dad.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's the same thing, working with my family and working and actually being able to help other people and the farm, keeping the farm growing. So it's kind of the same answer as Erica's.
Well, I love those reasons. That's great answers. And I think that we can thank you for providing us an awesome source of protein and being able to eat turkey on Thanksgiving, but also the rest of the year in turkey sandwiches or however we like to eat turkey. So I want to thank you, Erica and Dana, for letting us get a sneak or a peek into both your brood barn and this grow out barn. It was so awesome to see those turkeys and to hear from you. And I want to thank you, viewers. Thank you for tuning in to see what a Minnesota turkey farm is all about. And thank you for asking all sorts of awesome questions. I know that we didn't get to ask our farmers all of them, but I appreciate you guys typing them in and getting able to see a little bit of what turkey farming is all about. So this was our November virtual field trip. We are planning a December virtual field trip to a Christmas tree farm, a tree farm here in Minnesota. It's the Pinestead Christmas Tree Farm near Isanti. So mark your calendar for Tuesday, December 15th at 10 a.m. We will do a 30-minute virtual field trip to that tree farm in Minnesota and get to meet the people who grow Christmas trees and how that happens. Also, like I said before, don't forget about our Ag Mags. If you are a kindergarten, oops, wrong way. If you're a kindergarten through sixth grade teacher or student and want more information, connect with us with Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom. We have both digital and print resources. And the Minnesota Turkey Growers Association is a great resource if you want to learn more about turkey farming in Minnesota. They have lots of great members' stories and information on their website. So thank you everyone once again for tuning in today. Thank you, Erica and Dana, and have a great, happy, and healthy Thanksgiving. Thank you.